Hi everybody, my name is Nikita, Sachdev, your host at Cryptovest. Today I'm here with Sterlin Lujan from Bitcoin.com. He's the ambassador and communications manager for Bitcoin.com, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about yourself from you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on your show. By the way, this is pretty awesome. So mainly for Bitcoin.com, I'm the communications ambassador, so I do a lot of traveling and doing keynote presentations, doing public debates, and also working with people to help educate them on what's going on in the cryptocurrency world, but plus specifically what we're doing at Bitcoin.com. If Roger, who is our CEO, most people have heard of Roger Ver, if he's not able to make it out to a conference, usually I go in his stead and represent for our company, plus do the keynote presentation or whatever else has to be done. So that's basically what I do for Bitcoin.com. I also do a little bit of writing and blogging for our company blog, and then I do a little bit of writing on my own on the side on platforms like Steemit, plus on my own personal blog. So.
I love your accent, by the way. He's a fellow Texan, and you'll be surprised. I've lost my accent, but he's kept it very well. You mentioned you're from a small village in Texas, right?
Correct.
What is it?
Yeah, I was originally from Abilene, Texas, but I grew up in Albany, Texas. Really small town, for sure.
So how did the passion for Bitcoin come out from a small town like that?
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. When I was around my 20s, I lived in Abilene at the time, and I actually got involved in the rave scene, the dance culture out in West Texas, mainly between Abilene and Dallas-Fort Worth. And being involved in that scene, I came into contact with designer drugs, namely MDMA. And I actually started taking MDMA and raving, and I had some insights about myself and who I am, and that allowed me to wake up and realize that I could do more with my life than I'm currently doing. So what happened to me was the opposite of what happened to most people who allegedly use these drugs, these compounds. And then I thought the compound was so amazing, so radical, and it could help so many people that I began giving it to my friends, selling it to my friends, and hoping to help wake them up.
Wait, you were selling a drug?
MDMA. Yeah. Okay. And I got arrested for possession of MDMA with the intent to deliver and for manufacturing in 2009.
You were making them?
I wasn't. I got arrested for that. That was what they charged me for. I just possessed the drugs and was helping wake people up, helping deliver the drugs. And anyway, my house got raided by the state police and by the local police and the state marshal, and I bailed out of jail, and then I had to wait to go to trial for that, of course. And during this time, a lot of people close to me made me feel extremely guilty and shameful for what I had done, but I didn't think that I had done anything wrong, right? Giving drugs to people, there's nothing morally wrong with that. I didn't hurt anybody. They made that choice of their own volition. But here's the key. Here's how this ties into the cryptocurrency scene, right? I started reading the Austrian economists, Murray Rothbard, and learning about anarchist philosophy, realizing what I was and why I was trying to do what I was doing. I was trying to help people realize their freedom, their ability to live how they want without having to deal with the state or to deal with anybody else telling them how to live. So I became an anarchist during this time period as a result of my run-in with the state. And after I became an anarchist, of course, I started spending time online on forums and on chat groups, and I inevitably came across people talking about cryptocurrency, because for anybody who doesn't know, cryptocurrency has its roots in the cypherpunk movement that actually happened in California around the San Francisco Bay Area. These cypherpunks, namely Timothy May, started talking about bringing anonymity, privacy, and decency and dignity back to the individual, letting the individual use computer programs and tools to escape state tyranny. So cryptocurrency has its roots in anarchism, in freedom. And that's really when I started getting more involved in cryptocurrency, and I wanted to run with it because I knew it could help free people from the tyranny of the state. People could take their financial power back and use it to their own advantage. So that's how I got into cryptocurrency very early on. It all started out with my arrest. In 2009, of course, is when I got arrested. Then I became an anarchist around that time period. And then I got into cryptocurrency first in 2013. That's when I ran into it on forums. But I didn't put my money where my mouth is yet. I didn't buy it it. I was just talking about how it could free people. In 2015, I went to the Porcupine Freedom Festival in New Hampshire in the United States. And New Hampshire is regarded as the Free State Project, where people have accumulated, they've gone to in droves. There's been an exodus into New Hampshire because it's libertarian principles. I went to their festival, and someone told me to bring Bitcoin to that festival and to use it at the festival, buy my goods and merchandises, and at that point I would fall in love with it. And it was Bitcoin, of course, that I used. And around that time period, the Bitcoin price was about $300 to $400, and I started using it for the first time, and I realized at that point this is a truly radical technology that is going to change the shape of the world and allow us to get out from under the thumb of these central planners and these tyrants who control the money supply and who try to claim ownership over our bodies and over our property. So after that, I went back to my wife at home and I said, we have to get involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency right now. Very shortly after that, I got hired on with Roger's company at Bitcoin.com as a journalist, and I also opened up a Steemit account on Steam. For anybody who doesn't know what it is, it's a cryptocurrency blogging platform, and it allows you to make money by writing content. You get upvoted and you get cryptocurrency rewards. I ended up doing really well on Steemit because I was an early adopter, and I also, of course, was working for Bitcoin.com, so I got fully swept into this cryptocurrency ecosystem, and I've been working for Bitcoin.com ever since. And shortly after being there a couple of years doing the writing, Roger and I met up at a conference, and I was able to tell him I wanted to do more for the company, and then I got a job as communications ambassador, and that's how I ended up traveling the world, talking about cryptocurrency, talking about Bitcoin.com, and educating people on how amazing this technology is.
Okay, so here's a question that a lot of people are wondering right now. Which is the real Bitcoin? Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash?
Without a doubt, Bitcoin Cash definitely represents Satoshi Nakamoto's original vision, right? And this also is important because it plays back into this original idea of the cypherpunks. They wanted a cryptocurrency that can free the people. In order for that to happen, a cryptocurrency has to be usable, it has to be scalable, and it has to gain mass adoption, right? Bitcoin Core, the traditional BTC, the ticker logo BTC, went the wrong direction. The individuals who are sort of heading up development for BTC decided to turn it into a commodity or digital gold and to neuter it as its usability for Bitcoin Cash. So that means not as many people are going to be using it, and of course they didn't because fees, and this is mainly during the month of December when the price of Bitcoin almost reached $20,000, but the fees also per transaction reached an average of $20. So you couldn't even send a transaction without having to pay a $20 fee, and that minimizes the type of people who can use Bitcoin. And a lot of people stopped using it at that point, and ever since then the cryptocurrency markets have been in dire straits. Of course, there are a lot of variables involved in why the cryptocurrency markets have been down, but if you can't use a cryptocurrency as cash, it's not going to gain mass adoption. It has to, if it's going to be a killer app, people have to be able to use it. And Bitcoin Cash fulfills those goals that Satoshi Nakamoto originally dreamed of. And the idea is if it can be used as cash, we can start thwarting these centralized, trusted third parties, as he referred to them, or government agencies who can easily freeze our assets or steal our money from us or harm us in some other financial fashion, as they are apt to do all the time. So that's why Bitcoin Cash really fits this Nakamoto's original vision of being able to be easily used and leveraged by the everyman, by every single individual, and being used as cash to send anywhere and everywhere in the world in a cheap manner.
So then why isn't it as popular as Bitcoin? I mean, what needs to be done? Does it need to be more? Does there need to be more awareness on Bitcoin Cash? Or why is Bitcoin so much more popular than Bitcoin Cash?
Well, Bitcoin Core really is more popular just because of the timeline that it's existed, right? Bitcoin Core, as we understand it, has been around since 2009. The white paper has existed since 2008, so it's had more time to develop the infrastructure, right? If you have that long of a timeline of a cryptocurrency that gains popularity, there are going to be developers that come to that program, there are going to be entrepreneurs, there are going to be visionaries and iconoclasts, people who want to work with that particular blockchain blockchain. And what that does is create a network effect. A network effect means that there's going to be more value that comes to this ecosystem, and if it has more value, naturally it's going to be more popular. It's going to be the coveted coin that people want to go after. But unfortunately, along the path there, the actual intention, or what Bitcoin was supposed to be used for, diverged, and it got commodified. And then that's when we forked off and we created a new version of Bitcoin, which is called Bitcoin Cash. Now, the reason Bitcoin Cash isn't as popular or currently used as much is because it's brand new. It just came into existence, literally. But with that said, look how far it's come in just a short amount of time. Bitcoin Cash has already grown phenomenally. It went from early on $200 at the very lowest point in its existence, up to nearly $3,000 at its highest point. Right now it's sitting just under $1,000, but it's already being taken up by a lot of different companies. For instance, BitPay just recently added a Bitcoin Cash functionality for their credit cards, so you can actually pay with Bitcoin Cash anywhere in the world right now using your BitPay card. And more and more businesses are going to start accepting Bitcoin Cash because it's easily available to use in commerce, and that is the whole purpose of these technologies. And in order for, I think, for any of these cryptocurrencies to gain a long-term momentum, they have to serve a use case function, and that use case function is to be used as cash and to be able to be used by everybody, and that's what will sustain its value. And that's also, I believe, why Bitcoin's value did not maintain itself at the peak in December.
So it's scalable, it has more usability. I mean, that definitely makes sense. That's what that was what the purpose was, a peer-to-peer transaction, and Bitcoin's price is so ridiculously high we can't even make a transaction without fees. So what is the future of Bitcoin Cash?
The future of Bitcoin Cash is definitely going to be more wider adoption, greater use in commerce. I can see already a whole bunch of companies beginning to adopt Bitcoin Cash, and that's mainly because just recently we had a protocol upgrade and scaled it to the block size to 32 megabytes, and this was done in preparation for mass adoption. We expect that Bitcoin Cash will continue to be adopted on greater and greater scales because of how easily usable it is. And one of the sad things about this is people can send Bitcoin Core right now, and the fees have gotten to be the lowest point they've been in a long time. But the funny thing is they're still higher, much higher than a Bitcoin Cash transaction. I can send Bitcoin Cash from me to you right now for $0 USD. It's just a fraction of a Bitcoin Cash, which is amazing. But yeah, keep looking to the future and you'll continue to see Bitcoin Cash grow because it has such a strong usability in commerce. Really an amazing technology.
But what about to speed up the transactions? Does Bitcoin Cash use anything like the Lightning Network?
No, this is one of the interesting things. Bitcoin Cash does not use the Lightning Network. It's pure on-chain scaling right now. And that's not to say that maybe one day in the future Bitcoin Cash won't adopt a second layer solution. So I won't even say that it would be Lightning Network specifically, but if there needs to be a time where second layer solutions are needed, then at that point the community would determine if that's a necessity and then put it into practice. But right now what we need on a market is a cryptocurrency that can work for as many people as possible. If you try to implement a second layer solution without scaling the blockchain, you just neuter your cryptocurrency. You create a situation where it's damaged because nobody wants to use it now. So when you implement a second layer solution without expanding the block size, it's funny because you actually reduce the usability of that technology. You actually damage its market value, which is a shame. But Bitcoin Cash, on the other hand, we've just decided to expand it. Developers have decided to build onto it, and more people are coming to the ecosystem to build onto it, so we'll continue to see it grow.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I mean, you gave us so much insight today, and that's all we wanted to know was the future. And yeah, I mean, I think it's great, like where you've come from your stories of the MDMA. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Yeah, nice to meet you.